Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome back to Spill the Tea, Lou. My name is Lou. Happy Saturday for those of you that do not work. And then hello to those of you like me that will be working today and trying to sneak watch the football in between all of the things you have to do at work. It's a hard out life, but somebody has to do it. We have a few things that I want to talk about this morning, so this might be slightly longer than our usual morning videos, fair warning, but something to watch in your tea break or as you're crawling out of bed before the football gets started. And so, first of all, obviously, the just the gift that keeps on giving, the Salah, Liverpool debacle. Apparently, they have worked things out, I think seems to be the general line. And I put out a poll yesterday on the YouTube channel. So if you haven't voted, do get stuck into that. It's still running. And I asked people, do we feel that Arne and Mohamed Salah have called a truce? You know, they've worked things out and everything's going to be okay? Or do we feel that this is a temporary ceasefire in the Liverpool civil war just until they can work out an exit strategy for either Salah or Slot or both? Or do we think even that maybe the club is told both of them, no, you have to just get on with it because they don't know if they're going to keep Slosh, and if they're not going to keep Slosh, then they don't want to get rid of Salah. Either way, I don't think this is the last we're going to hear of what's happened. There's definitely going to be more to that story. And it will be very interesting to see what happens between now and January, because obviously you've got AFCON and maybe what might come out, because we do know that players, when they're on international duty, will say things that they don't necessarily say when they are on duty with their club. And if something does come out, what might happen between January and the summer. So very, very interesting. Definitely don't think that's the last we're going to hear of it. Definitely don't think suddenly everything's been worked out and it's a full-on truce. I think what we have is a temporary ceasefire while actually the club weighs up its options. I do think that they need to be very, very careful, because even if they want to get rid of Slot, they don't want to set the precedent that if a player doesn't like a manager, that they can just come out and say stuff like this. But obviously, if you take the temperature off the fan base, there is a lot of them that say, okay, we don't like what Salah did in terms of how he came out publicly with his comments, but we agree so much so with what he said, we're willing to overlook the fact that he did it maybe in not the correct way. So very, very interesting, and definitely will be watching that going forward. But we do have another team, club, manager that is just chaos. And I know I say I love chaos. I do love chaos in the table, in the Premier League table. I love a wee upset, not against us, but against everybody else. However, what I don't love is chaos at Manchester United. And my goodness me, they bring chaos. So yesterday, Ruben Amorim did his pre-match press conference for our match coming up on Monday again. And what he said is that basically he doesn't know if he's going to have Ahmad, Mazraoui and Mbeumo, which is our whole right side, by the way, people of our team, our starting right side. And he said, well, I don't know if I'm going to have those players on Monday. We're still in talks with the national teams, and basically they haven't told me yet when they're going to call up these players. So I might have them on Monday. I might not have them on Monday, but we're planning for all scenarios. Well, what do you mean you don't know? Yesterday was Friday. The match is on Monday. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 3 days away from a major match, because let's face it, the table is so congested. One match really does make that much of a difference. And then it's about trajectory and momentum. And, you know, you get to the end of the season and you say, oh, well, what if it was this match or that match? But it's not just like, honestly, the lack of just anything, the lack of communication, the lack of organization, the lack of authority. I mean, at the end of the day, we fully understand these players want to go and play for their nations. We certainly wouldn't begrudge them doing that. It's not their fault when the tournament is organised for. It's completely outside their control. I'm sure they would like to play for both their country and their club. But honestly, what is this lack of organisation from the clubs, from the team structures, the national teams and Manchester United? Where has the communication been? It's not like nobody knew AFCON was coming up. It's not like it was a secret and everybody went, oh no, AFCON's nearly here. Nobody told us it was coming. Like, we knew this competition was coming up. In fact, the fans have been flat out talking about the fact that we're going to be losing these 3 players for ages, basically since the season started. Bryan Mbeumo has been one of the most impactful players for Manchester United all season. He has been fantastic. Ahmad is one of those players that feels quite understated. He has had a bit of an up and down season, but more up than down, and you certainly notice him when he's not there. Mazraoui doesn't start every single game, but he's very, very good player. He's very good defensively. He adds a lot to the team. And even if he doesn't start, knowing that you have him as an option on your bench is reassuring, especially if things are going wrong in the defence, especially when we have De Ligt injured, when we have Shaw, who knows when he's going to get injured next, when you have Martinez, who's only just coming back, when you have Yoro, who seems to be out of favour at the moment. Heaven is performing really well, but he's a young player. We really don't want to be throwing him. Then you've got Dalot, who's had a really good game recently, but overall isn't good enough and can play both sides. But I mean, if we're not trusting Dorgu, then we need him over there. And it's just a bit of a, you know what I mean? So you'd rather have Mazraoui there. So the fact that not only could we really lose 3 players, 3 very important players, and we don't know 3 days before a major match. It's embarrassing. But after my rant, is there a possibility, and I saw this comment on the United Stand from one of the chatters, and somebody said, is it possible that actually we do know? We do know if they're going or not, but we're not telling people, we're not telling the media, and we're certainly not telling the opposition, because then they can plan for it. If we say we don't know, then they don't know, and it means they have to plan for all scenarios as well, which means they're not going to be as well drilled on each of them because they're having to spread their time. And at first it sounds a little bit mental. It sounds a little bit like, no, the more believable option is that Manchester United are just disorganised and don't know what they're doing. But recently in a press conference before one of our other matches, it might have been even our last match, Ruben Amorim came into the press conference, and when he was asked about injuries, he said, we have 2 players, it might have been 2 matches ago, he said, we have 2 players that are questionable. They're going to have to be, we don't know yet. And when he was asked who they were, he said, well, I'm not telling you, because if I tell you, then I'm telling the opposition and they can plan for it. So I'm not telling you who our injuries are. I'm just telling you that there are some. So maybe not the club, but Ruben Amorim certainly has a history of not wanting to come out and say things in press conferences and not wanting to give the opposition more information than he has to. So maybe, and this is a big maybe, we do know if they're going or not. And Ruben Amorim has just decided he's not telling anyone. If that's the case, I think that's so clever. And I've been heavily critical of Ruben Amorim. But if he knows whether these players are going to AFCON or not, and he has just decided, I'm not telling yous because then yous can't plan for it, very clever. And I like it. I like the mind games that, you know, we talk about this, like Pep does it, like the good managers, Sir Alex, they all play mind games. It's all about controlling the narrative. It's all about what information you allow to be out there because you're in charge of the information flow and you're not letting it out. So if he has done this, if it's true, which is possible because 3 days before, if they don't know, it's a shambles. So it's possible that he does know and he's not telling anyone. If that's the case, I have to say, very impressed. So I hope that that's the case and it's not just a case of us being absolute idiots. So, having spoken about Liverpool's chaos, Manchester United's potential dark arts from the manager in his press conference, let's have a little look at some of the matches that are going to be going on today, because we have actually a really, really good setup of matches coming up today, because last week we had all the good matches on one day and then all the bad matches of the boring kind of ones nobody was going to watch on the next day. They seem to have mixed it up a little bit better now this week, but I mean, that was probably an accident given the way they're going. So let's go to the matches that are upcoming today. So Chelsea and Everton. Well, I can't ignore poor Chelsea after me talking about them all week. So Chelsea, Everton. What do we think? Folks, I reckon Chelsea wins this. However, I don't think it is going to be easy. The reason I don't think it's going to be easy, we look at Chelsea here. They are in 5th place. They've got 25 points. And then we go to Everton, who are in 7th place with 24 points. Now, Everton have 4 wins out of their last 5 matches. Chelsea only have 2. Now, obviously, part of that can be the opposition that they're facing, but also Everton are just playing quite well. So I certainly don't think it is going to be a walkover. I think it's going to be a very, very good match, a very interesting match to watch, and maybe a bit more even than we would traditionally expect a match between Everton and Chelsea to be. I do think, do you know what it is? I think Chelsea have to win this match, because while I don't agree that they've fallen off and oh my God, they were in a title race and now they're not, I think their aim has been Champions League football. And obviously if Everton beat them, then they will have overtaken them. So they'll be 27. So Everton would be ahead of Chelsea by 2 points. I also think Manchester United are going to beat Bournemouth, so we would move ahead of them. So they would move into, and I mean, then what if Brighton or Sunderland, Liverpool, I mean, one of Brighton or Liverpool is likely to move ahead of them unless that match is a draw. So then they could end up down in 8th, Chelsea, if they lose this match. So I think it's a really, really, really important match for Chelsea to win, not for a title race, but for European spots, which is what I think they're actually aiming for this season. So I actually think Chelsea must, and we hate the word must, but I think Chelsea have to win this match. I think it's very, very important for Chelsea to win this match. So let's just say I think Chelsea are going to win, and apparently so do 78% of people out of 47,000 votes. Let me see. Can I share this with you? Share this tab. So you can see here what I've done. You've got Chelsea, Everton. I said I think Chelsea's going to win. 47,000 votes. You can see here I'm on SofaScore, and 78% of people out of the 47,000 have also voted for Chelsea. So that's interesting. Next, we have Liverpool, Brighton. This one, again, is going to be very, very interesting. With all the talk, with all that's going on at Liverpool at the minute, what they need is points on the board. Now, again, I'm going to go back to my other screen. So we have Liverpool scroll a wee bit, Liverpool are in 10th with 23 points. Brighton are actually already above them. They've got 23 points and are in 8th. Now, again, if Liverpool, because they're on the same points, they're literally separated by goal difference. So if they draw, they won't change in terms of they'll still be level with each other on points, depending on how many goals are scored. But it'll stay the same, because if it's a draw, they've scored the same amount of goals. But essentially, if Liverpool win, they go ahead of Brighton. If Brighton win, they go ahead of Liverpool. So, I mean, it's so close. The table is so close. And I did see Mark Goldbridge on the United stand say, look, it actually was this close last year as well in the lead up to Christmas. It's perception, it's recency sort of perception that it feels a lot closer. It was like this at the start of last season. And then once the pack pulled away, they really, really pulled away. And it's funny because that does happen, in your head it feels different. But oh my goodness me, like look at that. 3 teams. You've got Brighton, Sunderland and Liverpool, all 3 of them on 23 points. Spurs and Newcastle just behind them on 22. That is absolutely wild. I love it, but it's a madness like. So really, again, very, very important game. And I think it's not going to be easy. But again, I think Liverpool need the win to boost their fan base, to kind of reunite everybody, to stick them all back together. Because really what everybody wants, what all the fans want, is their team winning. So they need their team to win. So I do think that would be very, very important. And I think specifically for Arne Slot, because he needs credibility. He needs points in the bank. And to get points in the bank, obviously he needs wins, because all that does is it strengthens his position as the manager. So he's going to be wanting to win this match. But Brighton are absolutely not going to make it easy for them. And they have been so bloody good this season. I'm not convinced Liverpool win this. They need to They really need to. I'm not convinced they do. I think this one could be a draw. Now, I might be very wrong, but I think that could be a draw because Brighton's not going to be a pushover. And Liverpool, as much as they might want to win, just might not be capable because there's so much going on at their club. They already weren't performing, and now they've all this chaos in the background. I really just don't know. I would probably, if I was guessing, put maybe a draw, but it's so hard to know. Like, my mind could change before 3 o'clock today. So what other matches have we got today? We've got Burnley, Fulham. Fulham's going to win that. I'd be very surprised if Burnley win that, but I think it's going to be a low score and kind of maybe a bit of a boring match. That's not the one people are going to be watching at 5:30. It's a pity they didn't have Burnley, Fulham at the same time as one of these and move one of these to 5:30 because it's just so unnecessary to have Chelsea and Liverpool playing at the same time. They're both very good matches. Then 8 o'clock, we have Arsenal, Wolves. I don't think anybody expects Wolves to win that match. I mean, I suppose that's the kind of thing that happens in football. Like the table leader, Arsenal top of the, look at that, 13 to 100. Wolves are 18 to 1 to win this match. God love them. Yeah. So out of 45,000 votes, 90% think that Arsenal are going to win there. But look, it's at some point Wolves are going to have to get a win. They're going to have to get a win. And I mean, what sort of a chaos would that be? Just one sec, folks. You didn't need that in your eardrums. But just like, what kind of a chaos would it be if Wolves came along and just beat Arsenal or even took points off them? If Wolves even got a draw at Arsenal, oh my God, the knives would be out for Arsenal because that would be an absolute disaster for them. No, I don't think it happens. I think they beat Wolves and I think they beat them by maybe 3 or 4 goals, probably 4 goals. But if the unthinkable happened, because stranger things have happened in football, and if the unthinkable happened and Wolves actually take points away from Arsenal, my goodness me, title race on, because let's go here. Arsenal are top of the league on 33 points. City are just behind them on 31. Now, to be fair, they are playing Crystal Palace, which, again, I think most people seem to think that they'll get at least 1 point, if not 3. But again, that won't be easy. However, you do have Aston Villa down here. Aston Villa have won their last 5 matches. They're going to be playing West Ham. And if they win, they go to 33 points. So this here, even the top of the table is so close. The top 3 kind of have a wee bit of a pack going on there. But look, Arsenal should beat Wolves. We're just dreaming. Us non-Arsenal fans are just sort of dreaming that maybe something crazy could happen. Though, to be fair, I don't want Manchester City to go top, so I hope Palace beat them. Sorry, Manchester City fans. If Aston Villa somehow ended up, would it be goal difference, right? Well, they're not going to go top even if they win because they're not going to score 12 goals because I'm just looking at the goal difference here, so that's not going to happen. But I mean, they would put themselves in a position where the following week or the week after it might happen. If Aston Villa and Crystal Palace can keep themselves in and around it there, anything could happen. So while I want Arsenal's downfall, sorry, again, Arsenal fans, I know I have a lot of Arsenal fans in my subscribers, so I'm trying not to insult you too much, but I mean, I am a Manchester United fan. You have to expect some of this. But if Arsenal slip up, I hope it's Villa that make the most of it and not City, because I can't be dealing with that. That's worse. City's worse. If I had to pick between Arsenal and City winning the league, I would pick Arsenal, but begrudgingly. I don't want that. So look, people, that is it for today. I don't want to babble on and on and on for too long. I normally do quick ones here in the morning, but I had a little bit of extra time. So I thought, I'm going to spend it with my favourite people, see what everybody thinks. What do you reckon to the Salah slot? Do you think that Manchester United and Ruben Amorim know whether the players are going to AFCON or not, and he's just playing some games with the opposition? Or do you think, no, Manchester United really are just that disorganised and they haven't a clue what's going on? And what do you think about the games that we have lined up for today? Do you think Everton, Chelsea, who's going to win? Do you think Wolves are going to cause a madness and upset Arsenal? What about Liverpool, Brighton? That's a hard one. That's a really hard one. Who would want to be predicting these things? So get your thoughts in the comments down below. Have a lovely day, full of football. Enjoy yourself, and I'm sure we will speak to each other very soon. Please do smash a like on the video, and if you're new, do subscribe because I would like to see you here again.